Let's start with Paolo.
So I've watched every game and I'm all in. He's him, as they say. He had 21, 12, and 7 tonight.
But I thought you were all in coming into the draft.
I was, but I wasn't like, I want to watch every game all in. And like, I didn't think he'd be this good already. Part of me was like, man, what if he could average like 20 a game this year? Like that was like in my mind, like, man, maybe 18, 20. But he's scored over 20 in each game now. He's averaging over 20, like something like 24 at least.
Damn.
Yeah. But there's reasons I like him. It's not that he's putting up numbers, right? Like, because when you watch every game, it's different. The things I love, like little things I love, are that he's coachable. Like, and you can tell he's like, him and his coach like get along well. Because he's like, he does a lot of the yep, I got you, that kind of stuff. Now, that kind of body language stuff, I'm just like, when you're that good and then you're that like promising and you have that element to you, or like if he messes up, makes a bad pass, he's like, my bad, my bad. And like, I don't know, those little things, you can tell that he like genuinely connects with his teammates. And even though he's taking lots of shots, he's not selfish. There's never a part where you're like, man, I wish he'd pass more. Like, there's almost times like, I wish he would take over right now, So I just think his demeanor, just everything about him, because like everybody knew his skill was there, right? But that stuff is like what made me hooked. I was like, man, he's the guy. And then you see the pace he plays with. He's never in a rush. He's so strong with the ball. He gets the line a lot. Like, I think it was before this game, it was like 8 times a game he gets to the line. Something crazy like that, man. And he wasn't shooting well from the 3, but like I think I told you in text, like, man, his form is too good. He's not gonna not be a 40% 3-point shooter. There's no way he's not gonna be able to do that. And this game he had 2 like pull-up threes. He had one running point off the pick and roll. Just like the flat pick and roll, just came off it, boom, knocked it down. He had another one, just like a pull-up 3. Like, I don't know if it's in offense or anything, but so I'm like, man, he's got that. I think he doesn't have the confidence yet. He's still feeling out like what his game is. That's what I could see early on is like, okay, like what is his game? Like what are his spots? That's all yet to be determined what that's going to look like. And man, he's great getting to the lane and like making layups like LeBron style. And I was like, man, he's like LeBron's because he reminds me of LeBron the way he gets into the lane, just kind of like bullies you in stride, and he's going to get to this like layup or this left-hand layup to, like in stride, but you're on him, and so he's going to get fouled. It's impressive, man. I'm like, he's a rookie at 19 doing that already, just like that smart to get to the line like that. And I'm not going to talk about the Magic like strictly. We could talk for an hour on the Magic alone because I'm just excited. Like when you look at their contract situation too, in 2 years, 2025 season, the 2024-2025 season, if you look up their payroll, the only people they're going to have on their books are like Wendell. Love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Love that guy. Love his game, man. I don't know. He's just so solid. And I know that he'll knock down some more shots as he gets older too, because his form is not bad. But he's willing to take threes. He's had to like slow down because he had one game where he missed like 6 in a row. I was like, hey man, he wants to get him up though. That's a good sign. But like their payroll that year is just like Franz Wagner, Paolo, Wendell, Suggs, and like one of the young rookies. And you're like, shit, man, with that team in 2 years, who's a free agent? I didn't check who the free agents are in 2 years, but like Orlando's a destination. It's not like New York or LA, but like Orlando, it's Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you're going to like you would choose to be going to like Minnesota as a big time free agent, I guess. At least that's how I rationalize it. Like to me, Orlando has like some history too with like Shaq and Penny and like I could see like a high caliber player wanting to go there if Paolo is who I think he is in a couple of years, because they're going to have the cap room. They only have like 5 dudes on the books, I'm pretty sure. And for a total of not that much, man, because Wendell's contract is decreasing. So like right now he makes like 15 mil, but it's like in 2 years, it's like 11.5 or something. Also, you know, they started today because all their point guards are hurt. They started Bull. So the guards.
Cole Anthony.
No, Cole Anthony was hurt.
Terrence Ross.
So Terrence Ross, Franz Wagner, and Paolo Banchero, like were the, or you know, Bull could have been. I don't know. It's all interchangeable. And then you got Wendell Carter. It's like this was like true positionless basketball. I was watching it. I was just like, oh shit, because Bull, I love.
He's nice.
I love Bull. I knew he was nice, but like he just wasn't getting. I think he just didn't maybe understand NBA game this first few years at Denver. Like he's still learning, because I think it takes a little bit for it to click for some guys.
Well, I don't think physically he was able to compete.
That's
he was hurt, and also I think he just wasn't.
I think you're right. Yeah. I wasn't even paying that much attention to them, but now I'm like watching him every game. Now I'm like, he dunks on people. Like somebody's getting dunked on every game, and he's blocking somebody every game. So
yeah, I thought he was kind of like a joke of a player, like in high school, like almost like he's like a novelty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was not impressed at all. And then at Oregon, I can't remember who they were playing, but I watched the game and he was just dominant, like on both ends of the floor. He was couldn't score on him. He was handling the ball, hitting threes, had moves. You could tell he could see the game. I was like, damn, I'm a fan of this kid right now, right? And like he's still raw. But I actually saw him a couple games ago, and he got better.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, like Bull's a thing.
Mm-hmm. I think he's played every game. I'm pretty sure he's played every game. Like I was surprised to see him like the very first game. I was like, oh, they're putting Bull in already. But then I didn't realize at first that they're already like, bro, these are the guys that are injured right now. Right? You have Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Mo Wagner, which I'm not saying he's great, but he's a solid role player. Like he's a rotation player in a lot of teams. Markelle Fultz, Suggs, and Isaac, who's like he's on their payroll too. And that dude's kind of a stud, actually. Defensively, especially. Like he's a goon.
I'm not a believer.
You're not a believer? I'm just saying defensively. I'm not saying that he's going to be like an all-star.
Well, that's the thing I'm not a believer in. Is
gotcha.
Everyone has this fantasy of he could be Kawhi because he's like 6'8", 6'9", long, athletic, and so in your mind, oh, he's locked down three, he can guard anybody, and he could be like Kawhi. Like that's what everyone just. So he's one of those players that people lost their mind over.
So I'm thinking of it from like a good 3-and-D player, like a really good 3-and-D player that's a supporting role. I'm not saying he's all-star. I'm saying he's like a great third at best, fourth, fifth guy, like a good player that would start on most NBA teams, right? That's a thing. Yeah. If that can be, quantified.
That's why he can be a starter on a winning team.
100%. Like, especially if Banchero is that dude. And I think that Franz Wagner is also enough that dude.
Isaac's out of there.
Huh?
His timeline doesn't match up. His health history and like his age, I don't think he matches up.
Oh, you think Isaac's out?
Yeah.
I could see him being a sacrificial roster spot for sure. I can see that.
I mean, now that like think about since he got hurt, Franz came in and took everything by storm, and then now you got Paolo came in. It was even like bigger time, and now everyone's kind of like, "Oh, what's that, man? I didn't know you're still here." You know, like, and he's like, "Hey guys, you know, I'm back, and I think it's kind of awkward where he kind of knows like, all right, I think I need to talk to my agent because it's probably he doesn't fit.
You know what? You know what? Even as you say that, when you look at the bench, he's like higher up on the bench, like next to the coaches, but he's not like rah like all them. Like they're all celebrating together, and he's kind of like on his own. That's what I've noticed. That's interesting. You could be totally right, man. I think you're right, actually. Based on that body language alone. That's what it's so obvious on the bench. But the thing is, they don't even need him. I'm excited without him, man, because okay, so take him off. But like still, you have Cole Anthony, who's a bucket. He's a walking bucket, man. He's like, he could be really good in this league for a long time. Like, I'm not saying he's ever gonna be an all-star, but like there's no reason he couldn't be like a Lou Will at worst in some way, you know.
That's the thing is that's the role he can be is that elite off the bucket Lou Williams, Jordan Clarkson.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be our lead guard, but the second unit is your show, and you put up numbers. You know, you can score 30 easy, right? Especially if you get it going. But will he accept that, or will he want to be like, no, I need to try and be the man somewhere? Which I wouldn't fault him for. I think that's natural to be like, you know what, if you tell me, I mean, okay, you said something earlier that made me change my mind right now is if Paolo's him, it might be worth it. Like if he's LeBron, you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna stay. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to be the guy, right? It can go either way, but I kind of think he's like a Kobe guy, I think.
That level, you mean?
No, he's just one of those like I need to be the guy. I need to be like it needs to be me. I think it's important to him.
I can see that. So worst case, he's an asset, right? Worst case, he's an asset. Like they're in good position. But I agree with you. I think that's exactly where Cole Anthony's at. And if he's used along the way to attract a free agent somehow, I don't know, sign a trade, like
they're in great position.
They're in great position, man. And they could even flip if they wanted to tank. They could try to flip Gary Harris and Terrence Ross.
Okay. Ross he's your only vet. You need him.
That's true. You need one. You need a vet. That's true.
But this kind of segues in like other thing I want to talk about is tanking. And it's getting harder to tank. Because there's too many good players, right? Like you're talking about the Magic, and they're in the perfect spot because if you think about from them, it is all house money. You have the number one pick who is looking like the number one pick right now. And you have Franz Wagner, who you won the lotto with last you did like where the fuck did he come from, right? Like you got he low key should have been rookie of the year.
Low key, yeah.
And so like you get that, and you get like you did draft well with Cole Anthony, like and like they have talent like it. So you had a point now where you have Isaacs, who was like 3 years ago was like a franchise cornerstone. Now he's kind of expendable. I forgot you have Suggs, who I'm still a believer in that. Like
me too.
You got Bull, like so. Yeah, they're in a great spot right now. And then you have people like Gary Harris, who is a legit NBA player, right? He will get in the rotation of any NBA team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a surplus to requirements. and so like, if the Magic struggle this year, it's great because now we get Wembanyama, or you know what I'm saying, like so like, or we're ahead of schedule and make like a playoff push. And who's mad because we have the team ready to go now. If this is like because you tank to get Paolo. Once you get Paolo, you ramp it up, right?
Yep.
You got the guy.
Mm-hmm. 1,000%. They got the guy. Like, and what I love about this exactly is that why I like fell in love with this team, man. That sounds cheesy, but like I did because they play hard and they don't like it doesn't affect them that they lost 5 games. And like a lot of the games didn't feel like losses because they were in every game. And because you expect them to be young and get their ass kicked, you're like, wait a second. They're playing hard. Their coach is awesome. Like the offense they run, their spacing is great. They get guys in pick and rolls. Nobody's like selfish. Like they support each other. So it's like they stay positive. They never like give up, man. It's so fun to watch them. Even losing their first 5 games, like, I love watching this team. Like I don't care. And of course, it's gonna get smacked, but they still didn't like. They kind of started off a little slow, but then they're like, all right, we can't fuck around. And Paulo went to work, man. They like just fun to watch, man. That they like you said, they're playing their house money. That they're gonna have a positive attitude, and I'm sure they're gonna have like lumps where they don't, but like that's the kind of like culture they're building right now, and they're gonna be willing to like not see it as losing and see it as like a part of the process, and that they're just getting better. I'm like, dude, they're ahead of schedule, even if they go 10-72.
So you said something earlier talking about in the future after these contracts fall off, maybe you can get a free agent. I kind of feel like that's almost going like not out the window, but I think we just have so much evidence now that kind of building the team from scratch, and with like aligned contracts, like aligned like experience and players, like you have your few vets to kind of mentor or whatever, but you can kind of get this young group and they're allowed to fail for 1 or 2 seasons as they get better, right? I mean, obviously they had to produce something. They can't just be this horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so you get to play house money where they get NBA game reps with no consequences really.
Mm-hmm.
In actuality, the consequences is they just get more and more better players in the draft, right? And so that's what I'm saying. It's getting harder to tank because after a couple seasons, if you do it right, if you like purge your books and you don't try doing stuff like what Charlotte does, or they like keep trying to like buy people and bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they'll never get the creme de la creme, so they have to overpay for like mid. So they get Gordon Hayward.
Scary Terry got a lot of money too, I think too.
They get Scary Terry, right? Like people who are cool, but like they're not really moving the needle like that. And so you're stuck in the middle where you're not bad enough to get a high draft pick, and you also like to compete. You're just kind of like what?
Mm-hmm.
But like think about OKC, like they're trying to tank and they can't. You got the Spurs, like they look like a terrible roster. But here's the deal, though: like when you clear the deck, and get us, like we're gonna go different direction. So DeJounte Murray, we're gonna get you out of here because you're too good to be tanking now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is those like you almost clear all the dead wood and you get all fresh people with like a fresh outlook, and like I bet you Pop feels refreshed right now. And you know better than anybody, like every NBA player can play basketball on some level,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they feel good and they feel like they're in a good situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get these teams with no pressure, with nothing to lose, and because if they play terrible, they get these high draft picks, and it's like it's a win anyways. It's like a boost, like we got Wembanyama, right? And so like. It's this great environment, and then they end up like being decent. Like they're not even like bad.
100%, man. Yeah, like that's interesting. You say like, is it going to be a thing where people, where we stop, like just trying to sign big free agents? Like maybe that's not the route you go anymore. That's interesting because you look at Golden State. I think they're setting the bar. I mean, I think San Antonio kind of started that trend, and I think that Golden State is the new San Antonio, but like on steroids. Like they're doing it right, man. Like when you look at their situation right now, I'm amazed. And part of me even wonders if they tanked on purpose or like they faked some injuries to have that
They
like
did.
2 year.
They
That
they shut Steph down.
exactly. So, which is hilarious because they have this little lull, right? Where they're just like, nothing's going on, but all of a sudden they're just back and it's like, fuck, they're loaded. They're loaded. Like, I didn't think Jordan Poole's going to be this good. I mean, fuck, that dude's a stud. He's a stud.
That's also player development.
Very true. And this is where I think the NBA is improving, right? Like, there is no like secret trainer anymore, man. The cat's out of the bag. It's all on the internet now. Like sure, there's certain trainers that are probably better than others, but like the game is at such a high level right now that like guys are just going to get better. There's nobody has the secret trainer that they're like making leaps above everybody else, right? Like I just don't. People are going to like be able to maximize their potential. So like there might be like surprises that guys get a lot better fast, like Jordan Poole.
So Chip England isn't like a secret weapon anymore.
That's a great question. I'm a shooting coach. I mean, he's like known for shooting specifically.
But I'm saying, are there because you used to like San Antonio they had the guy and like
Yeah,
he could do miracles. But I feel like there's like more of those guys now.
there's more of those guys now. Like the guy that's at for the Pelicans. I guess he changed Lonzo Ball's shot. Yeah. By the way, side note, Troy Murphy the third. Is it Troy Murphy? I think so. That dude, I was high on him. He had a great playoff run last year. He's balling. He started one game a couple days ago or yesterday. I don't think he missed it. Huh?
He's with the Pelicans.
Yeah.
So perfect example. The Pelicans and the Magic. The Magic traded Vucevic for a lot of those guys you love right now.
Yep.
Right? And it looks like a fleece right now because Vucevic looks terrible. He's pretty much done. And they ripped off Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got New Orleans, who traded Anthony Davis. And look what they got out of it.
I know.
They got Brandon Ingram, who looks like a legit like top 10 player, like not yet, but like he's on that trajectory right now.
Mm-hmm.
You have Zion, like you have CJ McCollum, you have all those young guys that they have like talent, right? Like Herb Jones, like
Jose Alvarado.
Yes,
Valanciunas. They're stacked.
They're stacked. They're a great, like you called them scary, and like I was like, I don't know that. No, like that team is they're cold. They have everything. And you did that by investing in player development and the draft. Those are the two things that before people were just, I think they're just drafting and like hoping, like, I hope this guy sticks, right? But now it's like, no, we are drafting guys because we think we can do X, Y, and Z with them, right? And so we're gonna have a plan for them coming through. And so you're actually seeing like real roster construction. It's not just like hoping something emerges, like, much of your success is about cap management, right? And it's very hard to justify another max player, right? When that could be spread out into like 2 or 3 different players, right? So a lot of it's about money, and so it has to be a perfect situation where like you have a bunch of really, really good young people early, right? So then you can bring in like a Kevin Durant, mm-hmm. because you already have you already have a stacked roster, and you have your superstars on like sweetheart deals. So now you can sneak in the superstar. That makes sense, as mm-hmm. opposed to like New York bringing in Carmelo, and they gut their team to bring him in, and so you bring him in, and now you don't have a team anymore, mm-hmm. right? The Lakers gutted their team. They basically sold their rebuild to New Orleans for Anthony Davis. right?
Mhm.
They got that one championship out of it, but look at it now, and it looks like New Orleans won that trade,
Yep.
right? And so you start looking at that, and it's like the teams who bring on the aging veteran, more often than not, it blows up in your face. And so I think more people are going to be hesitant to be doing that.
Man, that's a great point. It's a great point. I didn't even think about that the development is getting so much better that people don't want to risk it. I mean, look at Brooklyn, man. I think Brooklyn did the same thing to get, the two full spots. They give up Jared Allen, they give up Dinwiddie. They
Yes,
get like I'm not saying Dinwiddie could be the best player on a team, but like
he was
they,
good
I'm,
for them.
and they had Levert all at the same time. I'm like, why are they giving up all these dudes? Like what are they doing, man? And yeah, man, I think you're 1,000% right. It's so interesting. Who else? Utah. Utah. I mean, I had a feeling they were going to be better than people were saying because I saw like when everybody. I'm not like the genius of this, but like I saw him playing for Finland, Lauri Markkanen, and I was like, holy shit, dude, this dude's a baller. Like, where have they been hiding this guy? Right? Like he didn't have the keys to the castle, and now he's got the keys to the castle, and he's balling. And that what are they 4-1?
He lost his confidence because when
Before.
he was at Chicago, he was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like his second year, he was like the golden one, where he was like on trajectory to be. He's the franchise player type. And then I think he got hurt, and then he never was like 100% after that. And it kind of one of those deals where it's like he was hurt long enough that someone else took his spot,
Mm-hmm.
and then he never recovered. And then they traded him to wherever he got traded to. I think that
Cleveland.
yeah, and it was kind of like he was his filler. They had a need for him, so he was like kind of like on the scrap heap. And so now he's in a new place that they cleared the deadwood, and it's all just like, let's work, guys. Let's just get out here. And now he's the guy everyone thought he was again, and he's thriving. And what's funny about it is, people were talking about Ainge is a genius because he sold Gobert for like a haul, right? He got all these picks.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. So he got, but people weren't talking. The players weren't even like talking about. They were talking about he got all these picks and players, but the players were generic. It's the whole point is he got this haul for him, right? And it works better too because he traded down to Mitchell to get more picks, so they're going to suck, and now they're going to win Mignogna, right? So that was like the narrative. And then so now they start playing and they're actually like pretty good. And I think Zach Lowe was talking about like they gotta start trading people because they're too good. Like, that's why I started thinking about it's getting hard to take now because like and just like, damn, I gotta get rid of more guys for picks because like we need to suck.
No, man, it's a real problem. He's over there like, man, I'm too good at my job. Like, damn, like I knew that this was not going to be a good trade. Like, as soon as they were like they like said who they were trading for Gobert, I was like, he's not worth that, man. He's not worth that. Fleeced him. I don't know what. I'd love to be in those boardrooms in Minnesota and be like, what are you guys thinking right now? They panicked.
I think I just cracked the case. They're moving on from Cat.
Oh.
So
Cat's on the chopping block.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy.
I think last year was everyone's final straw where you saw like, oh, he's like a child, you know what I'm saying? Like he would disappear in games and he just like foul out and just he's not your franchise guy. Like you thought he was going to be this pillar and he's just not. He's just not.
Yeah.
So and Ant kind of like took over and everyone kind of saw, oh man, like Ant's the guy now. So I think internally there's this like he is the torch, but you kind of have to give Cat one last chance. So you bring in Gobert and you give up a lot, and that was a mistake, right? You gave up a lot, but you brought in Gobert so you have on paper a team look like you're actually going for it, right?
Mhm.
And you're giving Cat what he wants, where he doesn't have to play the 5, you can play the 4, right?
Yep.
So you're setting this up to where it might work, and you guys are really, really good, right? And Cat's happy, or it doesn't work, and everybody sees that. You're stuck with Gobert because that you can't move him. You're not
Mhm.
going to trade Ant, so you're left with Cat and Byron Russell, and D'Angelo Russell. They will get you some of those picks back you gave up for Gobert. So I
Bingo.
think they were just playing 4D chess that whole time.
Holy shit, that's genius. It's actually quite genius. No, it really is, because like he's not that guy. You're right. And D'Angelo Russell's not that guy. And I think you could get one sort of guy to bring in from one of those two guys and some picks. I think they're going to have to bring in somebody else. Or they'll want to. There'll be somebody who wants to move or is movable.
They have Jalen McDaniels.
He's a stud.
Yes. And by clearing some of that room out, you give him more room to grow. And I think he's real. He's cold.
He's cold. He's He's from Seattle. Well, he's from Federal Way, actually.
Him and Paolo play on the same team.
I know, man. That's a stacked squad. That's a stacked squad.
And look, and I don't know if you go like on the Timberwolves subreddit, but like
no,
they're turning on Cat. So it's going to be easy to trade him. Like he's not beloved anymore. People are like ready to get rid of him.
Could this trade? So I just looked it up. His next year is the last year of his contract.
Of who?
So like for Cat.
Oh, he didn't sign an extension?
Did he? I mean, I'm just looking at.
So he'll be a free agent after next season?
It says, yeah, 23, 24. Oh, wait. Upcoming contract extension. Oh, no, he did. So this is already signed? Weird. Okay. It says upcoming contract extension. Yeah, so it's my bad. He's signed through 28. Dang, bro. Look, man, he makes. So this year it's 33. Next year, 36. Then the following year is 50. 54, 58, 62. Who's going to want to pay Cat that money, bro?
That's the question. And keep that question in mind. And remember earlier in the conversation, we have more and more evidence that building a team from the ground up has much more success than bringing the guy in. So who's paying that money for Cat?